So welcome. The reason why we use technology is to enhance the audience experience during a panel discussion and to engage and interact with the audience, and then also to feedback information to the meeting organizers. So there's a couple of reasons why we use technology. So in this webinar today, we're going to go over some tools and gadgets. The first piece is going to be around audio. The second piece is going to be around mobile. And the third piece are going to be some low-tech options that you can use as well. Okay, so let's start with audio. This is my headset, and I am going to stop screen sharing so that you can see my headset. Oops. Of course, I should have had it close by. So my headset is a Samsung E50, and I love this thing because it allows me to be hands-free. And when I'm talking about hands-free, this is my little carrying case, which is not what it came with. I went to Office Depot, and what I love about this is that unlike a Countryman, which most people will put on your ear and then they'll tape the side of your face, this has a little band that holds on to your ear, and you put it on really, really easy. It just slips on your ear, and there you go. Oh, I put it on backwards. Now, somebody else used this, so I gave this somebody else to use the other day. Ah, there we go. Okay, so you place this right there, and it's really, really nice because it doesn't fall off your ear. The wire then connects, and this goes right into the lavalier pack that you put on your belt. It does, I mean, I can dance on stage and it's not going anywhere. The quality is fabulous. And here's the thing that your AV techs will love about you, is this one currently got a Shure connector to it. And then there are 3 other connectors. One's a Sennheimer or whatever, another's an Audio Technica, and the other one is, I can't even remember, because 9 times out of 10, we're using this connector, a Shure connector. So I'm not confined to just one sound system. And anybody that I talk to from an AV perspective just absolutely loves this headset because the quality is amazing. And here's the kicker, is it's less than $200. You can buy it on Amazon, you can buy it at B&H. It is a fabulous microphone that enables you to then be able to not worry about your lavalier mic or your cordless or anything. So I highly, highly recommend that microphone. See, isn't this fun? We're gonna have show and tell of all the technology tools that I use as well as professional panel moderators. So that's tool number 1. Audio tool number 2, and this is like my fun show and tell. This is called a catchbox. So the catchbox, I wonder if that's reversed seen to you, but it's getcatchbox.com, and this is the Catchbox Pro. So this is a throwable microphone. Isn't that cool? So you throw it into the audience, and then people just talk. So there's a little bit of less of that intimidation factor. Q&A goes a lot faster because now you're throwing it. It adds a whole lot of, versus somebody having to run the microphone into the audience. And the really cool thing is that, it's just fun. It's different. Nobody's seen it. Every place I bring it, the AV techs are like going, oh, where do you get one of those? And the audience loves it. There's only one audience that said, Kristin, not exactly excited about that. And it was a very professional executive audience. And the first guy who threw it to another audience member missed the guy, hit him on his head, and they went, no, we can't do that. So don't do it with stuffy audiences or stuffy conference planners. But here's what's really cool about this. So this is the Catchbox, and you basically put a battery in there, and then the lav pack goes in here. And they, of course, have 3 different connections because it's not always a Shure, 9 times out of 10. So you put the connector in there, you put the battery pack in there, you zip it up, and then there's a little magnetic plate here that it just goes clink right into it. So you've got something really cool to use with your audiences. Plus, if you want to be holding it and using it as your main microphone, there's like a little holdy pad here. I think this is good for audiences of maybe up to about 200 people. After that, I'm not exactly sure how well your throwing radius is. You might want to use 2 or 3 if that's the case. But that's my catchbox. I think that that's pretty cool. I hope you think it's cool too. Let's see. So there is another tech tool. Let's see. So that's my headset. Let's see. Let me catch up here. That's the Catchbox Pro, and the web address is getcatchbox.com. And then there's a new tool out there called Crowd Mics. And this is really cool. They're based out of Mesa, Arizona. Who knew? And they are basically replacing your phone for a microphone. They do some very basic texting and very basic polling through your microphone. However, I don't find it to be all that robust. So if you don't mind, you know, that's cool too. But here's a demonstration of Crowd Mics and what they can do. I think you're going to get this screen share. I just need to make sure you're getting that screen share. Okay, I'm gonna stop that one. And then you're probably getting all of this. I'm just working through it. So let's see. Okay, so do I have that? Okay, here we go. So this is a demonstration of this technique using a crowd mic. This is actually AT&T.
Hi, my name is David Donaldin. I work for AT&T, and what I'd like to show you today is a technology we developed called Smart Mic, which allows users in a conference to use their phones as personal wireless microphones. So what we have here, so I'm in a conference, I go to the agenda, and here I'm attending the Smart Mic demo session. So basically, I would now be able to go to tools during Q&A and raise my hand when I have a question. What this basically does is it creates a session between here and the presenter's laptop. And so once that connection is established, you'll see my name down here in the hands down section, move to the hands up section. Presenter sees that, can call on me. Immediately my phone switches to live. And now as I talk, my audio is coming out on the PA system in the room. So I no longer have to wait for a wireless microphone, no longer have to have the mic runners. I have my own microphone in my pocket.
So isn't that cool? Well, I think it's cool, but so it changes your smartphone into a microphone. So I think that that's a pretty cool idea. So let me see if there are any questions out there. Let me see. It says, let's see, where it says my feature is disabled. Well, that's not right. There we go. Chat. Okay, let's see if we've got any questions about audio. Okay, can I tell you the name of the microphone again? The brand name of the microphone is catchbox.com. And I'll be sending you all of these as well. So by the way, AT&T doesn't have that technology. It was an innovation kind of thing, and some guy did it. And on a micro or a parallel plane universe, these two guys from Mesa, Arizona, I just talked to them yesterday. They're doing some great stuff with Crowd Mic, and it's the same kind of technology in that it replaces your cell phone as a microphone. So I think that that's really way, way cool. Okay, so those are audio. So let's move on to the next piece of technology that might be able to help us as panel moderators. And that, of course, I can't find. What happened to my PowerPoint? There we go. There it is. Okay. So, A lot of conference organizers are using mobile apps already in their conferences. The top ones that I've been seeing is like Double Dutch, Quick Mobile, Guidebook, Lanyon. There is a slew of them out there. They're basically being used by organizations to show the event schedule, upload PowerPoint slides, do some social media sharing, highlight sponsors, those kinds of things. The thing that you want to ask your conference organizer is, are they using a mobile app, and have they got access to the module that allows for audience engagement? Like, most of these have a very, very basic primary module, and then they add to, and they have to pay for access. You want to see if they have any of that, okay? So just ask yourself about that. Then the other thing that you want to ask yourself is, you know, if you're not using an app, which usually the conference organizers are going to have, then you can use the mobile web. You can use your smartphone or text, you know, granny phones, to be able to use audience engagement. So I am going to give you a poll here, and I'd like you to answer this poll. So the poll, the question is, which is most important to you during a panel discussion? Because there are lots of different things that these mobile web solutions provide. In my experiences, they don't provide it all in one yet. I think that's coming, but they're not quite there yet. So if you want to answer that poll, it'll take a minute or so. Some of these mobile web options are really good at crowdsourcing questions from the audience. Not only getting the questions, but then allowing the audience to rank and stack which ones they like. Is it important to you to be able to take a live poll among options? What about integrating presentations with a PowerPoint? So do you want to be able to, it's called second screen or multi-screen. Should the audience members be able to see what's being projected on the screen along with being on their PowerPoint? And then the second piece of that is, could they be able to annotate those presenter slides? And then the last one is, do you want to be able to capture the audience emails? I mean, from a marketing perspective, that might be appropriate. So, okay, so I am going to end that poll, and let's see what you came up with. You should be able to see it down there on your side. Crowdsourcing questions from the audience is 50%. Being able to take a live poll is 30%. Integrating presentations with PowerPoint or annotating those slides, and then capturing audience emails. Good marketing ideas there. Okay, so let's go through some of these ideas about what you can do to crowdsource those questions from the audience, etc., etc., etc. So the first one that I would recommend, and I'm not going to make any bones about it, is I love Sli.do. I absolutely adore Sli.do. And I'm wondering if you're able to see this entire slide. There we go. I think I have to just open it up a little bit further. Okay, so Sli.do, fit. I'll just say that. Okay, so Sli.do, I love this application. This is like my #1 application because it was built by a guy who used to work for Google in Bratislava. His name's Peter, and he designed this specifically for panels. Gotta love that. And so the user interface is very, very simple. You're able to crowdsource questions in that anybody can ask a question, and then people can see the questions and then like or not like those questions. People have the opportunity to send it anonymously, or that they can identify who they are. So there's an opportunity to ask an open-ended question, or to vote on a poll, live poll. They just added a new feature which allows you to view the slides on your iPhone or your Android or whatever. And then you can't annotate on it, but you can favorite it. You know how people are always like holding up their iPhone and taking pictures of key slides? This allows you to favorite that slide, and then it gets emailed to you at the end. So that's really cool. And almost all of these web-based solutions, they basically have a login page, and the login page basically asks for an event code, and then you hit go. So it's really, really easy to get onto it. So in this case, I was doing some work for the National Association of Bar Executives. So I created this slide that basically said, here's how you get into it, and hit go. And that's one of the drawbacks of all of these, is that you have to explain how to get into it. So hopefully that doesn't, really kind of creep you out, but that's one of the necessary evils. And then what I really, really like about this application, which makes it very, very different, is about crowdsourcing. And you can see how like the little thumbs up allows people to vote. And then as a moderator, you're able to look at the answers, and the questions that the audience wants to have answered pop up. So it's almost like the audience is moderating those questions for you. So the stupid stuff just falls to the bottom, and you don't have to worry about it. Now there is another crowdsourcing app, and it's called Pigeonhole. And I feel like I need to tell you about it, but it's really expensive. So Sli.do, I forgot to tell you. So Sli.do is, I'm gonna back up here. Sli.do is free for up to 1,000 people. What you don't get is customized branding. What you get is like this Sli.do branding. The other cool thing about Sli.do is that it integrates with Google Glass, if anybody wants to be watching this on Google Glass versus looking at their iPad. I think it's just a great tool, and it's free for up to like 1,000 people. If you want security, if you want it to be private, you want it to be branded, well, then you're gonna need Sli.do. So if you want Pigeonhole though, and Pigeonhole has a lot of great things about it too. It crowdsources the questions. It also allows you to moderate them. You can comment, and this is kind of a neat tool, is that you can comment on others' questions. So you can, kind of like in Facebook, you can comment on other people's feeds. So a lot of these are trying to replicate social media platforms that people are already familiar with. You can sign in through your social media profile, so that's your identity. So that's kind of a cool feature. And it also adds a schedule. So like the schedule of the program, the agenda, they call it the session list. So that's really cool. It's got a lot of different features, a few more features, but here's the kicker, is it's really expensive. At least in my humble opinion, I think it is. And I don't really want to push those costs on to my clients, and I don't really want to have to eat it. But just to use it once is $348, and you get 2 Q&A, 1 poll, and 1 survey, and you're not even allowed to filter it. I don't know about you, but that's a pretty rough entry point. There is no free try it for a couple of people. And you'll see that most of these tech tools, they have a free entry point, like up to 20 or 25. I think Sli.do is very generous at 1,000, because then you can really try it out on a large group. Because that's the kicker on most of these. They work really well for 200 or more. Less than 200, you might want to think about using some low-tech tools. So if crowdsourcing is your really important function, not just getting Q&A, if crowdsourcing is important, then I would recommend Sli.do or Pigeonhole. Depends on what's important to you. Now, if polling is really important to you, then Poll Everywhere is a tool that is very commonly used. People are very comfortable with it. Here's the cool thing about Poll Everywhere is it's not just web-based, but it's also text-based. So you can just use text messaging. So for those people who have got granny phones, then they're still able to use it as well. Not everybody is carrying around a smartphone or a tablet or even their laptop. So Poll Everywhere is both web and text. The good news is it's known by many, and it integrates completely with PowerPoint, which if you're using a lot of PowerPoint, which, no offense, in panels, I'm not exactly sure why you would be using a lot of PowerPoint, but maybe that's your thing. And it's really great for polling. I mean, that's what it's known for. The Q&A is a pretty basic Q&A. It allows for moderation, but there's no crowdsourcing on it. And then it's called actually a free response poll. And if you want a free response, then the way that you find what is most common is they have a user cloud. It's a little clunky, so it's really best to have an ombudsman, somebody who is watching the feed and then moderating those questions so that or filtering those questions so that it can be sent to the moderator. It's a little clunky if that's what your thing is if you want those questions to pop to the top. You're probably going to need to have an ombudsman of sorts. Now, there is another, oh, and Poll Everywhere, by the way, is free for up to 25 people. And then it gets, you know, there's a pricing structure. I did find another group, Jan Jaap actually recommended this, and it's out of the Netherlands, and it's free for up to 20 people, and then it gets a little pricey. But Send Steps is a little bit more easier to use, I think, than Poll Everywhere. It does web and texting. It integrates with PowerPoint, so it's got that shared screen kind of thing. But it's got a couple of other features which I think are really kind of cool. It integrates with social media, and so the audience can see the Twitter fall of whatever your hashtag is, which is really kind of cool. There's also something called a sidekick, which allows you to moderate and project the questions that you have moderated onto the screen. I still think having an ombudsman is a good idea, but if you're the moderator, it's a little less clunky than Poll Everywhere. It's still a little clunky. So there's no crowdsourcing, and it does get a little pricey when you go beyond the freemium of 20. So that's Send Steps. There's also another one called Lintelus. Now, Lintelus, I honestly don't know what its pricing structure is because it doesn't say it on the website. And I just found out about them a couple of days ago and haven't touched base with them. So they do a lot of neat things. And I think that, you know, one of the primary things it does really, really well is to share slides, and it also allows you to take notes and annotate those slides. So if that's really what your focus is, then Lintelus might be, you know, versus the live polling, it does a good job at it. Q&A, it's got some really great social media integration. So if that's what your thing is, then you might want to check out Lintelus. I apologize, I don't really know that much about it, but I read about it and it seemed kind of interesting. So those are some things about crowdsourcing, shared screening. Kiwi Live, the focus of Kiwi Live is really cool for speakers and panel moderators who really want to capture the audience information. So it's got some basic live polling. It's got an opportunity to send a note to the event owner so you can ask a question. But really what it does is it says, hey, if you want a PDF, you want a PDF or a document or something that's going to help you, then in exchange, you're going to give me your email address and you will get that delivered directly to your inbox. So that's kind of cool. It's a little different. So the focus there is that exchange of information. So they've got basic Q&A, which you can moderate. The audience doesn't see any of the questions that anybody else is. So if you're using Kiwi Live and you want to use it for Q&A and live polling, it's a little clunky. I would highly recommend that you have an ombudsman that helps you with that. And then the last one that I'm going to share, and then I'm going to take a moment to answer any questions that you might have, is something has popped up into the conference space called Conferences.io. And I think that this is one that I would keep my eye on. I don't know about the pricing. It's too new on the market, but it does crowdsourcing. It's got a great polling. It's got a schedule built in. It's got survey. It's got a lot of neat things to it, but honestly, I think it's kind of half-baked. So take that for what it's worth. Keep an eyeball on it. That's my humble opinion. So to summarize this, it all depends on what you want to do with your mobile apps. Whether you want to crowdsource questions, you want to integrate it with PowerPoint, you need that second screen where people can annotate, you want to exchange the documents for an email, or that one to watch. So now I'm going to go back and look at, there we go. Look at our questions. If you have any questions. So poll everywhere, Virginia says, so poll everywhere requires some kind of connection to or with PowerPoint. You know, Virginia, that's a really great question. No, it doesn't. But if you want it to be integrated with PowerPoint, if, for example, if you're taking a poll and you want that poll to be seen visually displayed, you can either do it through the web link, like most of them, or you can integrate it in with your PowerPoint. So like if you're giving a presentation and you want to ask a poll, like I asked a poll in the middle of this, then it could seamlessly go into your PowerPoint. I hope that that made sense. Ben's asking, neat crowdsourcing tools. Which ones are simplest to implement with a low-tech audience? Well, you know, we're going to go low-tech in just a second. You don't have to use tech tools, but honestly, I think Sli.do is the way to go. I love Sli.do. I love Peter. I love his whole focus is about making panels fabulous. All of these other tools that I showed you, they're about making meetings, just all meetings. So they're trying to be all things to all people. So that's why I ask you, you know, you really have to know what you want this to do for you, and then pick the tool that's going to do the best. So, you know, many of us are presenters or facilitators, and so these tools, you might have different reasons why you're using it, not just for panels. So I really like Sli.do, and it's free. Like, what's not to like about that? Okay, Neil asks, can the facilitator post a series of questions on Sli.do and let the audience decide on which to pursue? Well, you could do that as a poll, you know, various options. But I've done that where like an audience will report out like their top 5, you know, small group report outs. I'll have somebody as a technographer actually capturing what has been reporting out, and then the group can vote on which they like. So it's like crowdsourcing, which solution are you best happy with? So that you can do that too. I hope that that answered your question, Neil. So is Sli.do for the attendee or the panel presenter? Virginia asks. So all of these have an attendee view, and all of them have a moderator view. So the attendee view may or may not see all the other questions. Like in Keeley Live, it doesn't. In all the other ones, I'm pretty sure they see the Q&A. And you can turn on the polling response, whether people can see the poll response or not. I mean, a lot of these have some flexibility, but all of these have a moderator control panel where you can turn all of these options on and off. Okay, I hope that that answered that question. Let's see, I think that's, Neil, thanks for sharing what the other plugs are. I can't remember them. The microphone is the Samson E50. Okay, so let's go back up. John is asking, when embedding videos in PowerPoint, it often has a significant delay in transmitting. What are the common causes and solutions to this? I honestly don't know. I don't really do, I tried to do video in this one. I don't know how well it worked, but Virginia asks, marketing point, every meeting that might use these programs need to announce to prospective attendees that they will need to bring their devices. People who can't participate will feel excluded. You know, that is an excellent point, Virginia, in that you have to know your audience. Many audiences have smartphones or granny phones, so you need to pick the tool that's gonna work best. If you believe that the audiences aren't universal then you need to maybe use a Lowtech, which I'll get into just a second. And sometimes I think your point, Virginia, is you need to let people know, give them a heads up, or have a couple of iPads on hold. I was doing some work for some semiconductor, I just will leave it that way. And so, you know, that's a pretty high-tech industry. And I was thinking, oh gosh, everybody will have a smartphone, like Sli.do, piece of cake. And the conference organizer said, yeah, everybody. Well, we had a couple of people from, I don't know, Singapore or something, and they didn't have their phone with them, or I don't even know. But we had a couple of iPads that we were able to give them. So that worked out really well. So that's an excellent point. How would Sli.do work with a QR code to get audience in quickly? You know, that's an interesting idea. I don't know. I'll have to ask Peter about that. But, you know, you just hit Sli.do, Sli.do, and you say, you know, everybody go web surf that. I think people are more familiar with web surfing than they are with QR codes. Depends on where you are. Like Singapore, I mean, they're QR code crazy. So, you know, you have to know your audience. But you know what? Peter will eat that up. He'll go, oh, we'll figure that out. Is there a US distributor for the Catchbox? David, you know, that is a really good question. I just went on their website yesterday and I did see a US phone number. Go figure. So possibly there is. Okay. So I think we're getting through the questions. I really appreciate the fact that you guys are so engaged. Yay! Somebody came to the webinar. I love that. I'm always worried about that. That's like everybody's you know, nightmare there. Okay, so I am going to go into Lowtech now. Okay, so Lowtech is really easy. Like, I love the simple index card. Like, what's not to like about this? And if you really want to get fancy, well, then I suggest that you take a piece of hard cardstock and you print like 4 little boxes. See what that says? It says, so this is my generic. One question about the topic is, our question about the topic. So like I'll put people in rounds or, you know, 2Zs or 3Zs even before the panel starts and says, so what's your question about the topic? And then they answer this. And then if they want to direct it to a panelist, then they can. And then you collect them. And then either the panel moderator or your ombudsman sifts through them and organizes them, you know, takes out the redundant ones. And then you're able to use that as a springboard for questions for the panel. Isn't that cool? Like, what's not to like about Lowtech? Love Lowtech. So I will include this in the link to the rebroadcast. So it's all good. Now, the other thing that I love that's Lowtech, and I got to thank Brian Walter for this one. Yay! Flags. Love flags. So I get these from miniatureflags.com. Isn't that funny? So green means love that idea. Wave. You know, and what do you do with a flag? You wave it. It just automatically inspires audience interaction. Yellow means not so excited. Red means definitely not. No, 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 no. Or you could make this high, medium, low. You know, put your own case on it. Or, you know, this is your poll for those who believe in A. You know, put option A is green. Option B, option C. Use flags. I mean, I love flags. The only problem with flags is somebody's got to roll them up at the end. See, so I keep these all the time because I love flags. Somebody's got to roll them up. So Brian Walter, brilliant Brian Walter says, you know what? You guys are such a great group because I know you're the kind of group that's going to roll these flags up. That's all he has to say, and they get rolled up magically. And he doesn't have to, you know, he doesn't lose the rubber bands. He doesn't lose anything. Isn't that cool? Like, what's not to like about that? So those are 2 very, very low-tech options. So, you know, I hope that that is helpful. I am now going to look at our questions. Neil says, awesome list of great tools. Thanks. Carolyn says, I used the Catchbox at a conference in Atlanta, and I know the presenter purchased it in the US. So there you go. Mine came from Latvia. Go figure, but I've had it for a while. Kelly asks, what is the best display of tech tools you have experienced at a conference or meeting this year? I would be curious to know what you guys are thinking as well. The best display of tech tools. You know, the problem with all of this is that there's just so many random tools out there. I mean, I know there's at least 10 tools that I probably could have told you that are all redundant and less capable of the things that I'm talking about. So you know, you go to these trade shows. I just came from PCMA, and you know, they had a couple of things. At those trade shows, they're basically aiming towards the meeting conference, a suite of tools. So, you know, a lot of it depends on what you're looking for. Virginia says, postcards are a good idea. Good to use. You could use it to capture names and emails too. Great. And create a photo op, don't forget. Photo op, social integration. I think there's a lot of opportunity for social integration. I think if I had to like look into my silver ball and think what's gonna happen, crowd mics, that I love crowd mics, I think somebody's gonna eat them up and integrate that technology into their platform, because it's just, it works too seamless. I think a lot of these things that I said, so this is crowdsourcing, that's really cool, but not everybody has it. I think over the longer term, it's all gonna get put under these meeting event planner apps. Because once you have a group of people who are used to using that app on their phone, then that's where they wanna go. And I think that the model that many of these guys are using is kind of the crack cocaine model. You know, I'll give you something for free, and then you love it, and then you've got to have it. And then you want this module, and then you want this module, and then you want this module. So Dutch says, I've seen 3,000 plus participant meeting using laser pointers to poll and vote after a table discussion. Oh, that would be kind of cool. That's really cool. I guess everybody would need laser pointers or something. Huh, very cool. Tim says, any suggestions to tell prospective panel members regarding tech tools that will get them away from reading their PowerPoint slides? So, so this is a lot in the planning and preparation. And that's why I said, I'm really not a big fan of using PowerPoint, period. I tend to limit my panelists to no more than 3. Maybe 1 to illustrate a point, but for the most part, I am not interested in having them read off their PowerPoint. The guy who created the panel discussion format, little known factoid, this is the Cliff Clavin factoid, and the name just escapes me, but it was actually formulated in 1932, and he said the one unforgivable sin is to give a presentation, is to rise and give a presentation. So for those of you who are allowing people to do presentation after presentation after presentation, and then maybe you might squeeze in 10 minutes of the Q&A format, I would suggest you just give them like the opportunity to do a short talk, a TED talk, you know, that just stack them, rack and stack them, and then bring everybody out, if it's the same topic, for a panel discussion. I think that that's a better format for the audience. Okay. Oh, Dutch said they had one at each table. That's really kind of cool. Okay. Okay. Well, I think that we've been having a great conversation about high-tech and low-tech tools. I'm just going to show my little summary slide here to summarize, because I do think that there are choices that we can make. And oh, I was gonna give a gift out. Okay, so for the first person who types in "I want your book," you're gonna get a copy of my book, Powerful Panels, that would answer questions like, Tim, what you had. Okay, so there's just it's nice, you know, how to moderate a panel. So there you go. Neil says, with some of the more highfalutin audiences, any hints on how to set the scene for the use of these types of tools? You know, you do have to set that scene, and the easiest way is to walk them through it. If you don't want to walk them through it, I would recommend that you use Turning Technologies audience response systems. It's like a credit card. It integrates with PowerPoint, and that's so easy. You go choose A, B, or C, or D. It does not allow Q&A. It's just a polling device. So if you want to escape any of that madness, but you are going to have to. Okay, so who wants my book? I love that. Tim, all right, rock on, buddy. I will be sending you your book. You can have it either as a hardcover or a PDF or both. What the heck? You know, we're all in this together. I am just so honored that all of you came to this webinar, and you know, hopefully you're going to make good choices as panel moderators to make sure that we're providing the real value to the audience. Because here's the deal. People come to panels because they honestly believe in their heart of hearts they are going to get a Wizard of Oz moment, that they are going to get a moment where the curtain is pulled back and they get to be privileged to hear the behind the scenes look, the up close and personal, the stuff that people aren't going to share in public, that they're going to share in an intimate setting. It's our job as panel moderators to make sure that they get that experience, that we are the champions for the audience. Don't use technology just for technology, but use it because it's going to enhance the audience's experience. Thanks for being a great group, and you know, we'll see you on our LinkedIn group, Powerful Panels. Check out our free video course, and stay in touch, because we're on a mission, making all panels powerful, lively, and informative for our audiences. Thanks for being a great group.